everybody seems to be really mad about this whole Palworld game, and so I thought I would take a moment to talk about it a bit. My brother's been playing an awful lot of it. I've played a little bit of it just to kind of get used to it, and I thought I would kind of maybe intercut some pieces of podcasts that I think had good takes on this whole thing. I saw Moist Critical Charlie on the official podcast talking about this, and I thought he had a great take on it, so I'll probably tie some of that into this video. But in general, I want to just kind of give my ideas around why I don't think Pokemon is going to be suing the creators of Palworld, why I don't think there really is grounds to do that. There's a lot of armchair lawyers running around talking about this stuff, and I think it's probably a good idea to chat about it.
Because Game Freak can't do Pokemon anymore. They haven't made a good Pokemon game in God knows how long. Palworld is doing it better, and they've now shown the potential of the formula. So I think this is a great thing going forward for more games that utilize the creature catching mechanic and build off of it.
I don't understand. You're underselling the hatred, by the way, that this conjured from Nintendo fans and Pokemon fans.
Underselling.
Like, as somebody who's just looking at it surface level, I saw so many threads from people screaming at this company saying, "Oh, these fucking scumbags! This is just a plain Pokemon ripoff." And I was wondering, like, why do you care if somebody rips off Game Freak? Who gives a shit? It's a gigantic company that's lazy too. Who cares if their intellectual property is ripped off? Like, why do you care? They don't care about you.
Let's give them an even stronger response when they say, oh, it's a Pokemon ripoff. Good. Pokemon needs competition.
Yeah.
It absolutely needs other developers doing it.
A big reason is because it's so popular. Like, let's take another example, Tim. That is a literal Pokemon ripoff. Pretty much Pokemon 1-to-1 with a couple of changes, and everyone was singing its praises when it came out. Another one, Koromon. Like, there's tons of Pokemon ripoffs that people are like, yeah, finally, good Pokemon, but Palworld is so popular, and I guess with the AI being so contentious given their past, they needed a bigger, stronger reason to hate it, and that was an easy one. They also started calling it an asset flip, which is one of the most laughable things I've ever heard. Clearly, they don't play a lot of games. Because it does use assets, but so does every game ever, and it's not an egregious amount.
So basically, my main contention is that this game is not going to be gone after in a legal facet by any of the developers around Pokemon, because in reality, this game borrows mechanics from a ton of different games to create something that is unique and new. And that's the issue that really is at heart here. People online on Twitter have built up a firestorm calling this game a ripoff, accusing it of using AI assets and all this stuff, which of course was debunked to a degree by the developers and the creators of the game. This game is good, and people want to play it, and people are playing it, and because it's become successful, there's a lot of butthurt Pokemon fans that are basically throwing things out on Twitter that don't make any sense, people saying that this game is completely ripped off, and that basically Pokemon can just sue them out of existence. But what I think these people have missed is that there's been plenty of successful games in the past that have used these same mechanics of catching creatures with some sort of orb or ball and then collecting them and battling and doing this whole process. This isn't anything new. And by the way, it wasn't even new when Pokemon did it. It had been done before. So the whole thing is sort of stupid from the argument the fanboys are making. In reality, I think this game is just good. I think it borrows mechanics from things like Breath of the Wild, from even some Skyrim titles. I think it borrows things from things like Breath of the Wild. I think it borrows things from Fortnite. I think it borrows some stuff from games even in the Elder Scrolls world. I think interesting things. I think this game did something interesting, which is it made a good game that happens to be somewhat like Pokemon. And because there hasn't been a decent Pokemon game, all those fans are sort of riled up. And so they're taking it out on the developer of this game, which is actually pretty good. And frankly, I find interesting that it's been so successful, right? This game, when we saw Lethal Company, which was also from a really small developer group, become widely popular in the last few months, and I think that's really cool. It's nice seeing that you don't need to have these AAA development studios to create a good game, because those AAA development studios haven't been making good games. The newest Pokemon games are a perfect example of this. So I think people are butthurt that this game is good. I think Charlie had a great take in his podcast about this whole thing, and I think that people need to kind of just calm down. The statement that was made regarding them investigating whether or not they could do anything about this, I think, is literally just that. It's show. It's basically just to say, we know what's going on, but we're not going to do anything about this. And I think they know that because this game was in development. Palworld was in development for quite some time. Pokemon had ample opportunity to tell them that this game was going to be a problem, and nothing was done. Because they recognize that games have done this in the past, and that games are going to continue to do this. Games borrow from other games in the same way that music borrows from other music, and movies borrow from other movies. It's how tropes become a thing. That is the world we live in. Suck it up, deal with it. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe, like, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.